and welcome. I am Joy, Pin Girl Teaches, and I thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. To all the new subscribers, I thank you so much for choosing to be part of this family. And to the rest of the family members, hey guys, it is great to be here with you. I am looking forward to quite a few things. On Friday, I am going to be joining Harrier Over the Top and Just Say No to Narcs for happy hour. And that's going to be featuring on Harrier's page. That's going to be part three of the Exposing the Narcissist. So we are going to be taking your questions and answering them live. So make sure you come because some of the questions came from this page or from this channel. So make sure that you join us. It is happy hour, so that means bring your appetizers, bring your drink, whatever you're going to have. I have my Pinot Grigio already chilling in the fridge, so I will be there with my glass or two. We'll see what happens. And then we also do have a Zoom class that is coming up on the 27th and the 29th of July, where we actually just want to be able to be in a space with you. Registration is for 30 people on each one of those days, and it's $10 for the session. It's 2 hours, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, just figure out what time that is in your time zone, and I will put up some information on that soon. So you'll be able to register and take part of this. We are going to be talking about why I can't get over the narcissist. We're going to give you the tools that you need to be able to survive. Like, look, we care about you. After all, you are a family, and we want to see you not just survive through, the narcissistic abuse. We want to move you from a position of just surviving to where you begin to thrive. That position from shame to showstopper, where you actually belong. We want to see you become that empath or move from that codependent to empath to super empath until you become the supernova. Like, look, we are not playing. We are out to destroy the narc. We are out to step on his neck and make sure that he does not raise or he or she, right, guys, that they no longer have any effect on you. So we're very excited about that. But let's get back to today. I got to focus because I got a little excited there. But today I want to talk about narcissistic parents. When we think about parents, you think about not just how they provide for our physical needs, that would be food, clothing, shelter, but we also have emotional needs that we need our parents to provide. You know, being there to listen, to love, to nurture, to guide. The sad thing is that, like, many of us, myself included, have been in a relationship, an intimate relationship with a narcissist, and that's torture. But I couldn't imagine the pain that people go through the torment that they go through when they're actually raised by narcissists. It's terrible because that's childhood is the foundation from where we build. And so when the narc is the parent, when the narc is the one who's in charge of raising this child to adulthood, it becomes really difficult and devastating. It has devastating effects, long-term effects on the children. Narcissists don't change. So just imagine our intimate relationships and actually living and trying to grow up and find who you are in the home with such people is terrible. They're very possessive. They see their children as an extension of themselves. Like, listen, the narcissist is always going to view their sources of supply as an extension, meaning that they'll throw your name out anytime. They will use you at any time to triangulate other people. They just think that they have full control and power over you, and that is the thesis of what narcissism is. So the parents engage in marginalizing the child, where they don't allow the child to develop their own independence from them. They want their child to live in their shadow, and they set unreasonable expectations for the child. And even if the child does reach those expectations, they are forever shifting the goalpost. And so the child has to constantly keep working hard to please their parent. Children love to please our parents. Even when we are raising our children and we have to punish them, the children still come back and they want our love. But the narc children don't get this. So the narcs, they don't love their children. So we know that when we're in these relationships with them, it's never about love. I always tell you that so that you can understand and begin to shift to a different mindset. Now, that doesn't change with the children. The narcissists don't love. Narcissists love people for what it is that they can benefit from. So the child is totally invisible. And when I say the child, I really mean the needs of the child. They are secondary to the focus of the narcissistic parents. It remains a transaction. What can I benefit from having you in my life? Like which parent asks that? And it may not be something that they verbalize, but that's what's going on in the back of their mind. And so, listen, every relationship with a narcissist is a transaction, period. That is just what it is. So these parents have high hopes for their children. And that's normal for all parents. We all want to see our children succeed. We love showing them off. Like, look, we carried baby pictures all over with us to show people because we love our children and are proud of them. And we have high hopes and expectations for our children, and we are firm with them. That does not make us narcissists. The narc will amp that up. They go next level, but this is next level crazy. you know what actually distinguishes the narcissistic parent from normal parents is that they deny their children a sense of independence, and this carries through to adulthood. They just don't want their children to be separate. They see themselves as an extension, or the children as an extension of who they are. And these children, even adults, even adult children, they exist to serve as a constant source of supply to their narcissistic parents. And one way that this happens is the narc will use their children or live through their children. So they may have had goals or dreams to be, let's say for example, a football player, right? The parent wanted to be in the NFL, and so they live vicariously through their child. They put the child through football camp, football training, whatever, and push them through to different colleges, different schools, and just put that pressure on the child. Meanwhile, the child may not even be interested in football. It doesn't have to be football. It could be boxing. It could be track. It could be anything. They set expectations not based on the child's need, but what fulfills their own selfish desires. The child isn't even allowed to dream. The parent takes over that role. And you see this a lot with cheer moms, like, these pageant moms is what I should say. They don't give the child space to nurture their own dreams and nurture their own likes, set their own goals, and live out their own desires. It has to be controlled. This is about control, remember. And they always seek to diminish their children's potential by marginalizing it. They belittle their children, and they make them feel embarrassed. They act like they're superior to their children, which, you're a parent, you're supposed to be taking care of this child. And yeah, of course, in a small degree, not even that you're superior, but you're more aware because you're an adult. But they take it to the next level. Narcissists have that grandiose ego, and so they project that on their children just to belittle their child so that they can feel better. Like, that is low of the lowest lows. That is like gutter trash right there. They're very judgmental towards their children. And again, like I said, they are always shifting the goalposts and comparing and criticizing their children. It is awful. It is terrible to compare your child to another person's child. Why couldn't you be more like your cousin? Why couldn't you be more like the next door neighbor's child? Oh, Susie got 85%. She got a particular grade, should I say, and you look at you, but the child has done their best. We should all encourage our children to do the very best that they can and never belittle them. But that's what they do. They are constantly criticizing them, and they will reject and talk down on their children's success and achievements. And that's because the only one that can be successful or achieve is the narc themselves. Yet they'll take those successes and those achievements and brag to other people about it. And that's just like, they're terrible. They nitpick constantly when it comes to their children. So they may have a beautiful child who is, who, let's just say, won a cheer competition or whatever. and they'll find a way to make the child feel bad, like you could have done better if you didn't weigh so much, or your hair was terrible. They just find something to tear down what would be a moment of success for that child, just to make them feel bad. And that's only because that's how the narc actually feels. Like, guys, don't ever forget, these are shame-based individuals. They are driven by shame, and so they project that nonsense onto whomever, and it's just the worst. They don't treat them as humans who have rights, and they allow their ego to take over and continue to make the children feel that they are less than, that they need to do things in order to be loved. That's trash. Love is There are no conditions to love. If you were raised by a narcissistic parent, I'm speaking to you right now. You don't have to do anything for anybody to love you, just the way that you are. It doesn't matter what your self-esteem looks like right now. I don't care if you don't see any value in yourself right now. You still deserve love. You are worthy of love right where you are. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to sex anybody to try to get them to see the value in you. You don't have to spend your money on people so that they can see you and feel like there's a benefit towards you. You don't have to do anything but just be yourself, and be your vulnerable self, and get in touch with yourself, because you are worthy of love right where you are. These parents believe that they are special and superior to everybody, so they parade their children. If their child is beautiful, if their child is has a successful career as an adult, they'll use that as clout. They, even like they take their children's jobs, whatever college that they're going to, and that is their bragging right. The narc always has to stand out without achieving anything. They take credit for other people's work, and this applies to these parents too. And what we know that narcissists are masters at is manipulating. So they manipulate their children. They are constantly guilt tripping them. After all that I've done for you, you chose to do this. You didn't listen to me. You used your own brain to achieve something. They get mad at their kids for stuff like that. They're always blaming them. It's your fault that your father left. It's your fault that your mother is an alcoholic. They blame their children and they shame them, like, oh, you are so disgusting, you're overweight, or you're so, your complexion is too dark, you couldn't be beautiful. Those are lies. That's just how they feel about themselves. Don't reject those lies. Reject those lies. Don't accept them, and don't allow that to become your identity, because it's trash. They're lying. And they are always, like I said, they're always comparing their children to other people, and that's just because they never felt good enough. And I'm not telling you this so that you can feel sorry for them. No, they don't deserve that from you. They don't deserve that from you. They had the opportunity. They've had several opportunities to change who they are. They use a reward and punishment system. So that can look like, well, if you don't do what I told you to do, if you don't go to the store, if you don't go to this college, if you don't marry this person, then I'll cut you out of my will. You will have no inheritance. I will disown you. So they use that as a way to manipulate their children, and they emotionally coerce their children. Like, if you were a good son, you would listen to your mom. You would do what I'm telling you to do. You would trust me blindly. You can't trust these people blindly. They will cut you where it hurts the most. And this, what it does is it teaches the children that, like I said, love is conditional, which is a lie. They are rigid and without expectations. Their behavior is easily triggered. And so you find, like, a child can issue a narcissistic injury without knowing it. And we know that once a narc has experienced an injury, rage is what follows. But this rage is going towards the children. Sometimes it's actual physical abuse. Sometimes it's denying them food. Sometimes it's just a lot of, projection, a lot of triangulation. They will have the golden child and the scapegoat set up, and, make sure that they take out all their anger, all their frustration, all their shame on that child. They do not offer an ounce of empathy towards their children whatsoever. We know that they are empty shells, and they're a vessel they cannot empathize at all. So they disregard their children's emotion now. I want you to think about how long a child actually has to stay in the house with these people and grow and develop into adulthood with this trash, and how devastating it can be. So they're not there for the children's emotional well-being, because only the narcissist needs matter. They make their children live in their shadows, and they don't allow the child to be a child. They want they want their adult children to be dependent on them. Now, this is for some, not all, but to them, it's important that their adult children are dependent upon them to take care of them emotionally, physically, whatever their physical needs may be. Like, let's say they may have they may be disabled, or even as they get older and they're not able to take care of themselves. So instead of getting a caregiver, they want their child to do that. That's that control again over this child. Or they want to be financially dependent on their children. I raised you, I took care of you. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have this job. You wouldn't have this house. They claim everything for themselves. Another instance is that they actually want their children to be codependent upon them. So this is where you find that they want their adult children to be completely dependent on them for their support, whether it's financial support. So they'll make sure that the child is, limited in what they can do, like as far as being able to go out and work, being able to pursue their education or a career. They make sure that they have stops in place so that that does not take place. And you've got to remember, this child has been groomed based on what the narc needs as supply. So it's been years upon years, decades and decades, to get to the point where this child feels like, I can't go to college, I'm not good enough, I'm dumb, because that's been the message. So this is where they support their child being an underachiever or being irresponsible with their behavior. And they'll encourage immaturity, addiction, procrastination, and even mental and physical health. They make sure they want it to be poor so that that child can be dependent. They want to be needed by their child. They want that child in a constant position of dependence so that they can continually lash out, so that they can have that constant source of narcissistic supply, because of course they're going to be doing the most to their children. They're very jealous and possessive of their children that are under their influence, and this is forever. It doesn't go away. So they reject the independence of the child, and they don't want them to think for themselves. And so they'll say stuff like, why are you doing this to me, when the child is simply making a life decision that their friends are making. And while we're on the subject of friends, they don't always like their children to have friends, because outside friends bring influence. They influence their children into other things and make them think. And the narcissist wants to be responsible for all the thoughts that go in the heads of their children. And so even when it comes to choices like where to go to college, what sports to partake in, what musical instrument to play, who do you marry, they want control over that. And on the subject of marriage, when it comes to spouses, partners, they are seen as a threat, because now you have somebody else in your life. And as far as the narc is concerned, that person will never be good enough, no matter what it does, no matter what kind of background they come from, no matter what type of education level they have. Nothing will ever be good for the narc parent. And that's just because they feel like they're taking away dominance over you. And that's all. That person is a threat to their supply. And so the spouses and partners tend to find themselves in competition with the narc, and they are always criticized, and they're ultimately always rejected by the parents. So that's some of what it looks like when your parents are narcissistic. And the effects are terrible, because this has been groomed from the beginning. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so if you're somebody that has experienced this growing up, I highly encourage you to really get help. Get the help that you need. I'm a big advocate for therapy, for counseling. Reach out, get some, find out what resources are available to you. There are so many things that are available right now. And another thing, tap into these videos. Watch many different coaches so that you can learn, because the things that I know, somebody else may know more. and they may be able to, speak to you in another way that enlightens you, and that will be the place where you get your breakthrough. Because at the end of the day, it's not that we want you to stay, I don't want you to stay on one channel. I want you to get well fed, have a balanced diet of information, Um, what is going to be important is that you start the process of reparenting yourself, and that is just treating yourself the way that you would a child that you were raising. I have a video that I'll tag into this one on reparenting your inner child. When you are a child of a narcissist, you find that the effects, they always carry on into adulthood. It's not like there's a switch that just goes off and you're able to become, an integrated an adult. There are effects. And you find that children of narcissists tend to be chronic caregivers. They always doubt themselves, have low self-esteem. They have been trained to ignore their own physical and emotional needs. And when you become accustomed to a pattern of abuse, that's what you expect. And it makes you unable to develop to develop strong emotional responses or even intimacy. And you see that a lot of the times when you are a child of a narcissist, you have abandonment, rejection, abandonment and rejection issues, should I say. I got a little tongue tied. And you it's for me, it's like heartbreaking to hear people's stories and see what they've actually experienced at the hands of a narc. There's fear of being alone and living in a state of constant confusion, or just I can't do this, I can't do that, because that's what they've grown up knowing. Then you see that they have relationships, or they go into relationship with narcissists because abuse has been normalized their whole life. And that's why, I go so hard. Like, you did not deserve this. I don't care what they told you. I don't care what they showed you, how bad they threw that in your face. You never deserved it. And even if you weren't raised by a narcissist but are still listening, and you have a narc in your life, you don't deserve that. I don't care if it's your parent, your sibling, your friends, your intimate partner, none of it. You didn't deserve it. And you've got to reject the notion that you do. And you've got to start telling yourself. And it's crazy, when you start speaking these things over your life. But you've got to do that. Your words are powerful. And even though you may be scared or you may be doubtful, I just encourage you to start making affirmations over your life. I'm worthy. I'm lovable. I am loving. I am giving. I'm kind. I'm caring. I'm wonderful. I'm beautiful. I deserve love. Say those things. Create your own affirmations and be bold with them. Don't ever dim your light for anybody. Um, it's okay to go no contact with your parents. No contact does not have to be forever, but it's okay to do that. Give yourself space so that you can begin to do the work to grow. And like I said, it doesn't have to be forever. There may come a time when you feel more comfortable going back and getting back in touch with them, because you have your boundaries set. You now see you instead of them. And so, like I said, I'll attach the video on reparenting your inner child so that you can get some tips on how to begin to heal, or begin the process of healing. So for today, guys, that's all I have for you. I encourage you, if anything that I said resonates with you, to like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. And until the next video, take care of yourself and take care of each other.